lights taking you nowhere. Angel, come up, baby. Look at that sky, life's begun.
Hello everyone, this is Bob Solly at Channel Radio, and this is a special show for you. It's the David Bowie celebration of 50 years in music, and you know, I should be playing my usual vinyl records, and there's lots of records lined up, of course, but this time we're talking a lot about David Bowie and playing some David Bowie related records, some personal ones that I've been involved with, of course, and as everyone knows, you know, I was around at that time, many years ago. Now Kevin, who is in the studio here, of course, he produces the show, as always, and we shall be chatting and reminiscing and all the rest of it, and we hope you can stick with us. So certainly for the first hour of the show, we'll be chatting a lot and playing records, of course. During the second hour, there'll be a phone in, so anyone can phone in or email in to the studio, and that's at www.channelradio.co.uk. So here we go, and at the moment you're hearing Golden Years, one of my favourite David Bowie tracks. And we're going to be starting with a pre-Manish Boys record. Manish Boys is the band I started with a couple of other men, and it's a Kent band. It was a Kent band, and before then it was called Band 7. So it was a sort of a modification of that band. And I joined the Band 7 as a vocalist and guitarist. And my first record with the band, which was actually a demonstration record, was Some Other Guy, and here we are with Band 7 and Some Other Guy.
Some other guy now, taking away my love from me. Oh, now, some other guy now, taking away my sweet, sweet love. Yes, now, some other guy now, taking away my love from me. And I'm a lonely boy, lonely as I can be. Well, now, some other guy now, making me very, very mad. Yes, now, some other guy now, making me very, very mad. Well, now, some other guy now, I'm the best girl I ever had. I'm a lonely boy, lonely as I can be. Whoa. Some other guy now, taking my honey like a yellow dog. Well, now, some other guy now, taking my honey just like a hog. Yes, now, some other guy now, taking my honey like a yellow dog. I'm a lonely boy, lonely as I can be. Oh, now.
Well, that was yours truly, and Band 7 doing Some Other Guy, and I think that was about 1963, something like that. It was a Kent band, and it was a bit like a show band, actually, and run by someone called Pete Jansen, who many people will probably remember. And we were very popular in the Kent area, and of course we did actually get into some of the London clubs before we became the Manish Boys. 2 or 3 people in the band, myself included, started the Manish Boys, which ultimately had David Bowie as lead singer. So that's what it's all about. It's David Bowie's 50 years of music. And what can I say? It's more Band 7 here, and it's Shish Kebab. that was an instrumental number called Shish Kebab by Band 7, and Band 7 actually were known as the sax sound from Kent, I believe it was called. Anyway, it was not many bands around at that time. All the big bands had died off, of course, with the wind instruments, and Band 7 was a rock and roll band that actually had saxes, a sax lineup. So, you know, it's quite unusual to have that at the time when everyone was 3 guitars and drums. So I've got another email address for you, so if you want to email in, email studio@channelradio.co.uk. That's studio@channelradio.co.uk. The Channel Radio one I gave you before is the website, so it's the one I've just given you is the email site, so you can do that any time during the show. And this is a live show, actually. It's not pre-recorded, so you'll hear a lot of mistakes in it, no doubt, and a lot of little pauses now and again, but you know, that's life. And here we go now with when Band 7 folded. It didn't actually fold. It sort of made a transition into a group called the Manish Boys, which was a little bit more raunchy than Band 7, and we took on David Bowie about a year later, I believe it was, and we made one record, which was a bit of a flop at the time, but of course now has become one of the most cult of all cult records ever made in England. Anyway, here's the Manish Boys, and it's David Bowie with I Pity the Fool.
Well, I pity the fool. I said I pity the fool. You know I pity the fool. I said I pity the fool that falls in love with you and expects you to be true. I pity the fool. Fool out of me. Yeah, look at the people. I bet you're wondering what they're doing. Yeah, they're just standing there watching you make a fool out of me. I pity the fool. I said I pity the fool. Ooh, I pity the fool. Let me tell you that I pity the fool. She'll break your heart one day, and she'll laugh as she walks away. Well, I pity the fool. Yeah, the people that you wonder what they're doing. Well, they're just standing there watching you make a fool out of me. Yeah, the people that you wonder what they're doing. They're just standing there watching you make a fool out of me. I pity the fool that falls in love with you. Hey, hey, I pity the fool. I pity the fool that falls.
Well, that was the Manish Boys, and I Pity the Fool. And of course, the lead vocalist on that record was David Bowie. David Jones at that time, he was known as, and most people know that anyway. That was recorded at IBC Studios in 1964. I forget the actual month, but it was early in the year anyway. I think it was March or something like that. And it was the first record we'd made, a serious record we'd made. We'd made demos and all sorts of things before. We recorded for Decca, and we recorded for Joe Meek at one time, and all these famous people. At this time, we were contracted to an American called Shell Tell Me, who you know, actually did something for us. A lot of people didn't. They made promises, and you know what the music business was like at that time. Lots of promises and not much action. Even though we were contracted to Dick James music at one time, which was Northern Songs, nothing really happened, except, of course, that we met David through Dick James. So we were contracted to him, and so was David, and we had a mutual manager called Les Con, and he got us all together. So yes, it had its benefits, of course, but it was Shel Talmy who actually got the ball rolling with our recording.
And of course, Bob, we had a special guitarist on that track.
You certainly did. It was he was sitting next to me the whole session. It was Jimmy Page.
I think Shel brought him to the rehearsal, which was a rather special cafe.
Yeah, Two Eyes in Old Compton Street in London, which was the breeding ground for rock and rollers such as Tommy Steele and Cliff Richard and so on. And I played there many, many times. In fact, this year we went to the Two Eyes reunion.
Yeah.
And we saw some of the old acts there, which was very good.
Yeah. So it's a noble place to start
Very
this
noble
particular
place.
recording.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is right up there again with rarities, isn't it?
It is.
Now,
absolutely.
just so everybody knows, I mean, Bob isn't just an ex-Manish boy. Very highly regarded in the music industry as being an expert in all kinds of records. And we're talking vinyl. You know, what Bob doesn't know about vinyl isn't worth knowing. In fact, got a large record collection, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think the BBC would...
It's probably, well, the BBC disbanded their collection, but mine has about 150,000 pieces in it, yeah.
pretty good.
And, yeah, can't beat it. No. And it's all styles as well. I mean, everything from pre-war blues and hillbilly to even modern records. I quite often buy modern artists.
So let's go back to this recording, I Pity the Fool. Jimmy fitted in quite well that day.
Yeah, great. We were used to seeing him around London quite a lot because we would always congregate in a coffee bar called the Gioconda in Denmark Street, which was the music business's sort of dropout place, you know. You'd have Rod Stewart come in there sometime and he would say, "You lads working tonight?" And we'd say, "Oh yeah, we got a booking." He'd say, "I wish I had," you know, things like that. And it was a great place. I mean, you would meet everyone around London at that time. And of course the Gioconda coffee bar in Denmark Street was the place to be. So we saw him in there in the morning, then he came down with Shel Talmy in the afternoon. No, it was the morning actually, later in the morning he came down with Shel Talmy to the Two Eyes.
He brought a rather special bit of equipment apart from his guitar.
He did. He said, "I'm looking forward to this session tonight, because I've just imported from America something called a fuzz box." So he said, "What's a fuzz box?" You know, I'd never heard of a fuzz box before. He said, "Oh, well, I don't know." He said, "I haven't used it yet on a record." Anyway, so that evening when he set up, I was playing the hammered organ at the time on this record. The Pity the Fool in IBC Studios. He set up actually next to me there, and he plugged his guitar in, and it sounded like a sort of crunching noise, like someone walking on impacted snow. That sort of.
And of course, you've got to remember that, you know, when you're hearing these things for the first time, it's quite amazing, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah.
You know, we're used to these sounds now, but these new devices, a bit like, I suppose, when synthesizers were really starting to develop in the late 70s, early 80s, the remarkable sounds were coming out.
Yeah.
Very similar kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was all new stuff then, and everything was much more primitive in those times as well. You know, everything was looser. The whole music business was a much looser business. No one really got paid that much, ever. It was a labour of love for most of us, you know.
And also the dream of making it big, you know.
Well, of course, there was
everybody was at that.
That was always in the background, you know, but it was never the main thrust. And I don't think that was the case with most people around at that time, you know, and we would rub shoulders with most people. I was talking to Chris Farlow yesterday, and he said, you know, something similar, that we did it because we enjoyed doing it. You know, it was a break away from the old council houses and the post-war era, and it was all exciting, and it was something other than going to a bank or to work in another more organised situation. It was something you could do, if you could do it, and try and make a living out of it. So you made a living out of it, it's just you didn't make a lot of money, you know.
Before we go on to the next track, Bob, before we leave, Jimmy Page as well, very luckily spent a few hours, a couple of hours with him about a year ago, and I mentioned David, and that, do you remember recording that? And he went, of course. And not only that, he's convinced he recorded 3 different tracks with David on different occasions.
He possibly did that night.
No, he did. I mean, he recorded on 3 different occasions with David. Not the Manish Boys.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Once with the Manish Boys, and
Yeah.
he thinks on 2 other occasions.
Yeah, I'm
as
sure
well.
he did. Yes.
So he's absolutely adamant on that.
Yeah. Jimmy Page was actually the session guitarist around London at that time.
Yeah.
They all
Oh,
knew.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we're not sure which tracks yet, so which the other ones are.
No.
But let's move on to the B side of this single.
Okay. Well, this is a song called "Take My Tip," and it's on the B side of the Manish Boys record. The A side, incidentally, I Pity the Fool, was a Bobby Bland number. It was a blues number by Bobby Bland, and it'd been a bit of a hit in America about 2 years beforehand. And of course, Shall Tell Me gave us an acetate, which we copied to a certain extent and put our own spin on it. But for the B-side, he left open to do what we wanted. Well, David was a budding songwriter at that time, and so he came up with a song called "Take My Tip." And he came to me in the morning about 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, because he lived in Bromley and I lived in Maidstone, and sometimes he would stay over, and he came to me one morning to have breakfast, and I remember he got this song in his head, and he was picking up my guitar, my guitar was always in the chair, and he'd pick it up and have a strum, and he was coming out with this thing, "What do you think of this?" And he had the first 3 or 4 chords of it and the song in his head. So I said, well, when we go to rehearsal later on, when the lads turn up, we'll work it up, Anyway, it was a little bit Georgie Fame-ish, I thought at the time, but that's not to, criticise it at all. It's just that's how it was. It was the sound of the time, which was appropriate. And anyway, we got together, did a rehearsal in the morning sometime, all got together, and we worked it up, we worked out a bass line for it, and then, chords and all the rest of it, and worked it up into a song. Anyway, this is it. This is the first time David ever had a song on record, his own song on record. So this is it, and it's "Take My Tip."
So you want run up and tease her, but she walks right on by. You're scared to walk beside her, cause you're playing with the tiger who possesses the sky. She got the greenbacks, now oh my. You gotta act tall, think big if you wanna make a mark in her book. Gotta get ahead, get a car, fancy clothes, or she'll throw you right off of her hook. Here's the news, you are but one fish in her back garden scene. Gotta make like a shark to be free. Something bad on your mind, take my ticket on out, take my ticket on out. You can't give all you have to take something bad, because you put your right up on the red. With some others in mind, take my ticket on out, take my ticket on out. You're gonna please her, so you walk right up and tease her, but she walks right on by. You're scared to walk beside her, cause you're playing with a fighter who possesses the sky. She got the greenbacks, my oh my. You gotta act tall, think big if you wanna make a mark in her book. Gotta get a car, fancy clothes, get ahead, or she'll throw you right off of her hook. Here's the news, you are but one fish in her back garden scene. Gotta make like a shark to be free. Something dead on your mind, take my ticket on out, take my ticket on out. You can't give all you have to take something bad, or she'll put you right up on the rail. With some others and I take my ticket on out, take my ticket on out, take my ticket on out, take my ticket on out.
Well, that that was the Manish Boys and Take My Tip, and it was David Bowie's first recorded, self-composed song ever recorded. And there's a point in it where he's, instead of singing Spider, he sings Bider for some reason. There were only 2 takes of that song, and, you know, that's all you had in those days, very minimal takes. And Shell Tell Me, our agent and producer and so on, he was very much in favour of leaving mistakes in. He thought it was much more organic and much more rock and roll to leave mistakes in anyway. So Davey sang Bider mistakenly instead of Spider on that record, and we said afterwards to him, what the earth is the Bider? You know, he said, I don't know. He said, make it up. Anyway, Jimmy Page was wrapping his guitar up, and he said, got to tell you this, lads, I don't think you're going to have a hit. And he was actually right as well.
You don't want to hear that.
No, you don't want to hear it, especially when you're sort of like 19 or something.
Well, and that was your first record.
It was our first record.
Exciting times.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
And Dave was playing sax, of course, around this time.
Davey actually was a great sax player. He was really good. One of the reasons we took him into the band was, to be honest, not only because he was a good singer and looked the part and all the rest of it, but he was a great sax player. He'd had, I think it was Ronnie Ross was his tutor. I think Ronnie Ross, he gave David some sax lessons. I don't know how many, but I know he mentioned that name at the time. And he was just very good. So he was like everyone else, an all-rounder. And in actual fact, the Manish Boys, you had a lot of music readers in that band.
Yeah.
You had people who, I could read music, for example. Paul Rodriguez could read music. John Watson could read music. So we could orchestrate anything at all. And you had classical pianists. John Watson was a classically trained pianist.
Yeah.
And if suddenly someone was sick and another member had to take over, let's say the bass part, he would just pick up the bass in a couple of days. It was a very much a multi-talented band.
I mean, we sort of went straight at the single in a way. There was let's talk about the audition for David.
Yeah, the audition for David. Well, it's a long story.
No, let's not do the long version. Basically, you're rehearsing.
Okay, we're rehearsing. It's a very hot summer day, or it felt like a summer's day, but I think it was much earlier in the year. The room at Paul Rodriguez's house was filled with smoke, because everyone smoked in those days, and we were all anticipating David turning up. We were expecting a black singer, actually, because there was a black American singer over here making records called Davy Jones.
Yeah.
And I'd said to the band, well, it'd be great, actually, a good novelty act, which in fact it would have been in those days, to have a black singer fronting a white band.
Yeah.
What a publicity thing. It just, there's no one around doing that. So when David walked in the back door, which he did, with Les Conn, our manager, he was whiter than white, and with buckskin and braids and long blonde hair and so on, And
bit of a surprise.
Was a very great surprise, clutching a record of Liza Jane in his hand, and we said, oh well, he might not be black, but he looks the part.
Yeah. Still look the part.
He still looks the part, yeah.
And he had his sax with him as well, I believe.
He brought his sax with him, and he'd written some songs which he sort of snapped his fingers to and sang a cappella. The first thing he looked for, of course, was the record player, so he could play Liza Jane to us. And that was it. We had a long chat and coffee and so on and so on,
and it can't be overlooked. So somebody walking in that's already got a single released.
Yeah,
it's quite an impressive thing.
Well, it was, because you had to be on the road a long, long time to get a record in those days. There were no things like X Factor and instant fame and people taking, a monetary interest in you, like lawyers, whether you can sing or not. If you went to an agent to try and get a man, let's say you wanted to get an agent to promote you, the first thing that agent would say to you is, how long have you been together as a band? If you said 6 months, he'd say, well, I can't handle you. You've got to be together a year at least. He wouldn't even listen. It was a long process, and a lot of us had been in skiffle groups in the mid-50s. So it wasn't exactly, we were not exactly performance novices at all. We were fairly seasoned performers, in fact, you know.
What would you have auditioned, David, with? You know, what kind? One of your standards? You know, you'd have just chosen a mutually, or can you remember?
No, I don't think we did anything like that at all.
But you heard him playing sax, didn't you?
Oh yes, he played sax. I think he sat in on one of the songs we were doing.
That's what I was saying.
I can't remember what it was.
Because I remember a couple of the bands saying to me at some point in the past, not that we weren't sure, you know, it was a big disappointment he wasn't the Black Davy Jones. But when he started playing sax.
Yeah, no, he was good. And the thing is, we were quite interested too in the fact he could write songs. Or at that time they were fairly, to my ears at that time, you know, I probably think differently now, who knows, but they seemed to be quite derivative songs, like a Marvin Gaye type number, or a Georgie Fame type number, or something like that.
As any songwriter is finding their way.
You are only a product of your time.
Yeah.
You do things that are current to you, and of course that was the same with him, and that's how it was. So we were impressed with the whole package, really. And,
well, let's get on to the next track. What have you chosen?
Okay, well, the next track, of course, when we got fully fledged as the Manish Boys, we obviously had to work out some sort of a program that would have impact on the stage, and we did a lot of work. We had a big sort of club following around London too. We did the Marquee and the Flamingo and all those sort of places, and so we were much in the R&B mode. And what better to start a session, or kick a session off, than with Booker T and the MG's Green Onions. Well, that was Booker T and the MG's Green Onions, and that was a number that the Manish Boys played to kick off a session. Usually we did alternate it sometimes, but that was a pretty usual thing. Now, David was a big Little Richard fan in those days, and probably still is. I don't know, but he probably still is. But strange enough, we didn't do any Little Richard numbers at all. One of the numbers I remember him playing was something called Poison Ivy, which had been a big hit for the Coasters, and it was a novelty track. And so here is the Coasters and Poison Ivy.
She comes on like a rose, but everybody knows she'll get you in touch. You can look, but you better not touch. Poison ivy, poison ivy. Late at night while you're sleeping, poison ivy comes a creeping around. She's pretty as a daisy, but look out, man, she's crazy. She'll really do you in if you let her get under your skin. Poison ivy, poison ivy. Late at night while you're sleeping, poison ivy comes a creeping around. Measles make you bumpy, and mumps will make you lumpy, and chicken pox will make you jump and switch. A common cold will fool ya, and whooping cough can cool ya, but poison ivy, Lord, will make you itch. You're gonna need an ocean of calamine lotion. You'll be scratching like a hound the minute you start to mess around. Poison ivy, poison ivy. Late at night while you're sleeping, poison ivy comes a creeping around. Measles make you bumpy, and mumps will make you lumpy, and chicken pox will make you jump and switch. A common cold will fool ya, and whooping cough can cool ya, but poison ivy, Lord, will make you itch. You're gonna need an ocean of calamine lotion. You'll be scratching like a hound the minute you start to mess around. Poison ivy, poison ivy. Late at night while you're sleeping, poison ivy comes a creeping around. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la,
24 hours a day. Channel Radio. channelradio.co.uk.
And this is Bob Solly at Channel Radio, and this is my usual 2 hours of vinyl records. And indeed, we have more and more vinyl records for you. In fact, everything is on vinyl. However, today is a David Bowie special. It's David Bowie, 50 years in music. We're celebrating, and I have a personal interest in this because David was in one of my early bands, and we'll be playing music related to that, and it's all live. I've got to tell you that, and you can email in if you wish to do so at studio@channelradio.co.uk. So you can do that any time, and in about 20 minutes or 10 minutes even, we shall be giving out a telephone number, so we'll have a hotline for you to ring in with any questions, which we will be very pleased to answer. Anyway, so that was a live broadcast for you, and we're going to go on now with a song that we used to do in the band. It's by Larry Williams, and it's She Said Yeah.
Little girl, where did you come from? You fine little thing, you make my heart sing. Come on, baby, let me plan a wedding with you. Baby, you got me crazy, got my poor heart hazy, got my senses feeling, baby, what I'm feeling. Come on, baby, let me make love to you. She said yeah. She said yeah. She said yeah, yeah, yeah.
Roy Williams, and she said, yeah, with the number we played in the Manish Boys every night. And it was a different time, you know. We were travelling around in an old Bedford van that was breaking down every 5 minutes because it was about 20 years old before we even bought it. It was a wreck, actually. I painted on the side of it Manish Boys in big letters, red on green, I remember, because red vibrates against the green background, and, you know, I thought that was pretty cool. And, you know, we used to travel around and sleep in this thing. We'd sleep on the floor quite often of other people's houses, and it was, you know, a bit of a nightmare actually getting around England at that time. Fortunately, a lot of our work was in London, and so we knew a lot of floors we could sleep on. We used to stay with the Fairies, for example. They were one of the bands at the time, and, you know, various other groups that we knew or met on the sessions. And but generally it was a pretty poor show, and freezing cold, you know, the old tin sides of the van, and we all huddled in there freezing cold.
Why don't we tell them about the West Country adventure that you went on? Where you went, the gig that never happened, and you ended up in this.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, yeah.
You were out in the middle of nowhere.
we ended up in this this place in the West Country. I can't remember where it was, but it was. They'd forgotten to promote the thing. There was no promotion for the event, so we ended up there. We got down miles and miles out of town, and we had to sleep on the floor of this ballroom and hitch a lift back home. I remember we paired off. I actually paired off with David and I think Paul Rodriguez. Certainly David and Paul. I don't think there was any more. We split up in threes, in other words, and hitched a lift home because no one would pick up a whole group of people. So we split up, and I was with David and so on. Anyway, we got to a certain point in the journey, and David gave up, and he said, oh, you know, we kept getting dropped off after about 5 miles here and 5 miles there. So in the end, he phoned his father up, and his father came out miles to pick us up and took us back to London. So, you know, it was happy days. And, you know, who cares when you're 17 or 18 or something like that?
Happy days, but, you know, it's not straightforward. You know,
Nothing's straightforward.
You really had to work for those gigs, and the travelling wasn't easy.
No, travelling was a nightmare.
Yeah. Very slow van.
Very slow van. I think at one point it was so dilapidated we had to, 2 or 3 of us had to get out to the bottom of a hill and walk to the top.
Glamorous. So
it's
glamorous.
not rock and roll, is it? You know,
Well, some places, some films.
well,
probably.
yeah, I suppose. I don't
Made a good
know.
film, actually.
It depends how you look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The struggle.
Yes. But, you know, it was great. I mean, whatever you're doing, you're playing the music you like to do, and so on. Anyway, the next record is something which David used to do very, very well, in fact. I'll tell you a little sideline to this when it's been played, and it'll be quite amusing perhaps. But anyway, it's Bo Diddley and Bo Diddley.
So listen goodbye, baby, diamond ring. If that diamond ring don't shine, he gonna take it to a private eye. If that private eye can't see, he better not take the ring from me. Oh, dearly caught a nanny goat to make a pretty baby a Sunday coat. Oh, dearly caught a bear cat to make a pretty baby a Sunday hat. Won't you come to my house and grab that phone? Take my baby away from home. Mother, that photo, where they been? Up to your house and gone again. Bo diddly, have you heard? My birdie baby said she was a bird.
Well, that was a number called Bo Diddley by Bo Diddley, and that was something that David loved to do. And he had these maracas he used to shake. He used to stand up at the microphone with a maraca in each hand and flail around like a lunatic. And, you know, every single night these things would shatter. You know, they'd crash against the microphone and they'd all shatter, and all these ball bearings inside, or seeds or whatever they were, would scatter in the air and like an explosion. Well, I used to play an electronic organ at that time. I had, and of course the ball bearings, or the seeds, used to get in between the keys. And of course you couldn't play them because it would hold anything you played. It would hold the keys down, and that was you know, quite a catastrophe for me, because it was, you know, just a noise. So I'd have to switch the electronic organ off and try and extract all these bits and pieces from, you know, from between the keys. So one of my bits of kit thereafter, after a few times this happened, one of my bits of kit was a little pocket knife, so that I could actually just slide the bits of rubbish out of the keys. And anyway, that's the story there. And it's, you know, quite a problem if you've got maracas. You know, don't hit them against the microphone, whatever you do. Now, another trick we had was to take a rockabilly song, and because we had saxes in the band, we had two saxophones, and Paul Rodriguez, he played trumpet as well, and various other wind instruments. Because we had that sort of line-up, we were able to adapt, you know, unfamiliar songs. So we would take a rockabilly song, say, and adapt it to a rhythm and blues context. And one of the songs that we did that with was Conway Twitter's "Make Me Know You're Mine." That was Conway Twitty and Make Me Know You're Mine, and that was one of the rockabilly songs that we adapted to an R&B context. Of course, we would take R&B songs as well, naturally. And one of the greatest groups around at that time, coming into soul period, were the Drifters. And one of the records in my own collection at that time was one we used, and it was a number called If You Don't Come Back.
Almost lost my mind. If you don't come back, if you don't come back, well, if you don't come back today, baby, if you don't come back, well, you can call up the people at the crazy house and take this crazy man away. I threw myself up against the wall now. I tore my clothes and I sobbed. I ran out on the street in my stocking feet, yelling, police, I've been robbed. If you don't come back, if you don't come back, if you don't come back today, baby, if you don't come back, yeah, you can call up the people at the crazy house and take this crazy man away. Mrs. Brown been talking about me to the people way across the street. She said I cooked that boy now a bucket of stew, but the poor thing just won't eat. If you don't come back, if you don't come back, if you don't come back today, baby, yeah, you can call up the people at the crazy house and take this crazy man away. Well, the doctor came up to see me, checked me with the fine-tooth comb, said you ain't sick, but you're gonna die if you don't get your baby back home. If you don't come back, if you don't come back, if you don't come back today, baby, yeah, you can call up the people at the crazy house and take this crazy man away. If you don't come back, if you don't come back today, baby.
Well, that was the Drifters, and If You Don't Come Back, one of their probably lesser-known numbers. That was from about 1963. Now, it's a strange thing, actually, because I named the band with one night with Paul Rodriguez and another band member, a major band member, in fact, Wolf Byrne. The three of us actually more or less formed the Manish Boys. In fact, we did form the Manish Boys, if the truth is known, and we were the key players anyway. And we had a debate one evening about what to call the band, the new band. And of course I had all these records, and I liked Muddy Waters, and we, had heard the Rolling Stones, of course, and all these sort of edgy sort of titles they were calling themselves. And so I came up with the Manish Boys, which was a Muddy Waters song. Now, Manish, of course, is normally spelt M-A-N-N-I-S-H, but I wrote it down as Manish, M-A-N-I-S-H, and Paul said to me, he said, that's not the way to spell it. I said, no, but it's much more edgy looking, and, it's much shorter, and it means the same thing. Everyone would know what it means. So that's how the Manish Boys evolved. Strangely enough, we never played Muddy Waters' number called Manish Boy. But we did play other Muddy Waters songs, and this was one we did, was a thing called I'm Ready.
I'm ready, ready as anybody. I'm ready, ready as anybody can be.
shoot tombstone bullets, winding balls and chains. I'm drinking tea and tea, I'm smoking dynamite. I hope some screwball start a fight. Oh, I'm ready, ready as anybody can be. I am ready for you, I hope you're ready for me. All you pretty little chicks with your curly hair, I know you feel like I ain't nowhere. But stop what you're doing, baby, come over here. I prove to you, baby, that I ain't no square. Because I'm ready, ready as anybody can be. I am ready for you, I hope you're ready for me. I feel so good, I want you to know. One more drink, I wish you would. It takes a whole lot of loving to make me feel good. Ready as anybody. I am ready for you. I hope you're ready for
Well, that was Muddy Waters and a number called I'm Ready from the very early 50s. Now, with the Manish Boys, we had usually 2 sessions in an evening. In the first session, we kicked off either with Booker T's Green Onions or another instrumental that exemplified the instrumentation we had, the novel instrumentation, in fact, because not a lot of bands had saxes in the lineup in those days. It was 3 guitars and drums was the norm. So we played your Green Onions early on, and if we had a little break in sessions, we would have to kick off the second session with something equally rousing, and so it was quite often a number called Last Night, which was made into a record by the Marquis, in fact, and here's the Marquis playing Last Night. Well, that was the Marquis last night, and that was a rousing number to get people up on the floor and dancing straight away, and usually worked every night, and so we kept it in the programme. Now, soul was not a word we actually knew much about in those days. No one called records soul records. This is something that came much later, this labelling of music. But we did play one record, one song rather, which was a Ray Charles number, and it was called I Believed My Soul.
One of these days, and it won't be long, you're gonna look for me and I'll be gone. Lord, I believe, yes, I believe. I say I believe right now. I believe, yes, I believe. Well, I believe in the soul. Trying to make a fool of me. I believe it. I believe it. Well, you're going round here with your head so hard. I think I'm gonna have to use my rod. 'Cause I believe. I believe. Yes, I believe. I say I believe right now. I believe. Yes, I believe. Well, I believe to my soul. Trying to make a fool of me now. I believe it. I believe it. Last night you were dreaming and I heard you say,
Oh, Johnny.
when you know my name is Ray, that's why I believe that now. I believe, yes, I believe. I say I believe right now. I believe, yes, I believe. Whoa, whoa, into my soul now. Trying to make a fool of me now. I believe it.
Well, that was Ray Charles, and I Believed My Soul, and we didn't really know the word soul much in those days. I certainly didn't link it to the music. It was all R&B as far as we were concerned, and soul was a much later thing, as I said just now. Now we're opening the phone lines, and this is the number to call in. We're doing a live show today, as you probably gathered from the things we've been doing wrong. But anyway, it's telephone number here is 01303 874 998, and you can call that in. Now you can also email in if you wish to do so, and we've had a lot of emails already today, and the email address is studio@channelradio, all one word, .co.uk. That's studio@channelradio.co.uk. And the telephone number again is 01303 874 998. And now we're going to carry on with the music and the chat. So we drew music from all sorts of areas, all sorts of sources, anything that we happened to like. David was very fond of Things like the Kinks numbers, You Really Got Me, he did that on stage. He liked a little bit more edgy stuff than some of the others, some of us, in fact. I mean, I was much more into the R&B and so on and so on. And I particularly liked, the Coasters. We played the Poison Ivy before. And I also liked the Clovers. And this was a real classic. It's Love Potion number 9.
I took my troubles down to Madame Rue. You know that gypsy with the gold cap too. She's got a flat on 34th and Vine, selling little bottles of Love Potion number 9. I told her that I was a flop with chicks. I've been this way since 1956. She looked at the palm and she made a magic sign. She said, what you need is Love Potion number 9. She bent down and turned around and gave me a wink. She said, I'm gonna mix it up right here in the sink. It smells like turpentine and look like Indian ink. I held my nose, I closed my eyes.
I took a drink.
I didn't know it was a day or night. I started kissing everything in sight. But when I kissed the top at 34th and Vine, he broke my little bottle of Love Potion number 9. I held my nose, I closed my eyes.
I took a drink.
I didn't know it was a day or night. I started kissing everything in sight. But when I kissed the top at 34th and Vine, he broke my little bottle of Love Potion number 9. Love Potion number 9. Love Potion number 9.
Well, that was the Clovers, Love Potion number 9. And I've got to say, in those days we used we had just records. We had no sheet music. We just had the record. So we would copy everything from the record, the chord sequences and the lyrics and so on. Well, some of these records were very indistinct. The lyrics were. And particularly in Love Potion number 9, the first line, if I can remember rightly, was I took my troubles down to Madame Ruth. You know, the gypsy with the gold-capped tooth. That's the opening line of Love Potion number 9. Well, we couldn't get it at all. No one could decipher what the singer was singing. And so we had our singer singing I took my troubles down to Nadaroo. You know, the gypsy with the gold cat too. Made no sense at all, but of course no one ever noticed,
Bob, we got somebody phoning. We got Gwen. I'll put Gwen on. Gwen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, Gwen. Thanks for hanging on. So, you've been enjoying, Sailors, Bob?
Hello, Gwen. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thanks. It's lovely to speak to you,
Yes,
Bob.
no, it's a pleasure for me too.
Lovely show you're doing.
Thank you.
Have you been listening? What have you heard this afternoon, Gwen?
Well, I've listened to them all.
Oh, brilliant.
George Underwood interview and the Phil Lancaster show.
As well, well done. Good, you've been with us all afternoon.
Wall to wall listening.
Oh, thanks, Gwen. Brilliant. Any questions you got for Bob or anything?
Yes, there was one question I'd like to ask you. Would you be able to tell me where you did some of your rehearsals in Maidstone?
Yeah, David lived in near Bromley in Kent. We were all from Kent. The whole band was from Kent, but David lived a train journey away in near Bromley. I lived in Maidstone, and so did John Watson. Paul Rodriguez lived in a place called Cox Heath, just outside of London, Maidstone rather, and the other two lived in Gillingham in Kent. Well,
So, you were Kent, really,
yeah,
and a very popular band across Kent.
It was a really popular band across Kent because we were quite individual, with the saxes, of course, and, the way we looked. But we rehearsed in mostly in Paul's house in Coxheath. That was where we did most of the rehearsal. Occasionally we would use my place in Maidstone, but it was a sort of a terraced house, and it wasn't so convenient to use. It was smaller than Paul's, and it didn't have such a big living room where we could set up. But, you know, once or twice we did it there.
And when you think about it, Bob, David's, you know, he was quite a way away. I mean, Bromley.
He was, yeah.
I mean, okay, south side of London,
Yeah.
but, you know, a bit of a trek. So what was the arrangement?
Well, he would come down for the week. He would
Right.
come down perhaps on the Monday, and we were always rehearsing. We never stopped rehearsing, even though, you know, we didn't sit on our laurels, for example.
Yeah.
You know, when we were always introducing new material into the band and so on. So we kept it all up and running. And of course we would play sometimes in the week and nearly always at weekends. So he would more or less become a resident in Maidstone from
Interesting.
Bromley.
So Monday to Friday, and then back to
usually.
Bromley for the weekend.
Yes, or some days he would go back.
Of course,
and-
you were gigging sometimes at the weekend as well.
Yeah.
But I know that he, you know, used home as pretty much the base, you know, and
Absolutely.
who wouldn't, you know?
Yeah.
Mum's there to do all the washing and
That's right,
getting
yeah.
stuff sorted out. You know.
Yeah, well, we used to drop him off, you know, if he'd been staying with us for, you know, a couple of days or 2 or 3 days. We would do a gig and then drop him off home after that gig. Maybe it might be a Thursday night or something, and then he'd come back on the Saturday for us to go somewhere else, you know. It was a pretty good arrangement, really, but yeah, he had to commute, in other words.
So Gwen, tracks we've been playing, you probably recognise quite a lot of them, I'd have thought.
Yes, a fair few.
Yeah.
Giving my age away.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it was a golden era of music as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know that. Well, you
I
know,
think to me, that's when music was music.
right.
Not like some of the modern stuff, but
Yeah.
that's just a personal opinion.
Yeah, I think that's an age thing, isn't it, for all of us? You know, it's our generation, what we like. What do you think, Bob? I mean,
Yeah, well,
I know you've got a very broad taste in music. I mean, we both have, but you know, it is very much a generational thing, isn't it?
It is really. I mean, I think, you know, my own thing. I was a professional songwriter at one time with Paul Rodriguez, my songwriting partner. We did that for a long, long time together until he moved away for a period. And you know, certainly after the Manish Boys broke up, we went. You know, we started writing songs together, and were very successful as well. But in those days, it was songs with a melody line, a distinctive melody line. You usually had a verse and a chorus, and you know, you had a hook line, and so on and so on. I find modern music, and again, you know, not to criticise it at all, because there's an awful lot of people like it, because it sounds
And
like crazy.
there's always
but,
good stuff in there.
Yes,
There's always good stuff.
Well, I always say the singers are great.
Yeah.
The modern singers are terrific, but it's the songs. The songs let them down quite often, you know, and they don't have any form or melody you can hang your hat on.
What do you think, Gwen?
I quite agree with what Bob's saying.
Oh, you're part of the fan club. Oh, well, we'll have you back, Gwen.
How much are you going to pay me?
Yeah, well, that's it. You know, I know you probably don't come cheap. Anyway, listen, thanks so much for calling in. We've got some other people trying to get through, so
Yeah.
thank you, and really appreciate it,
Okay.
Gwen.
Yeah, thanks, Gwen.
All the
I'll
best.
say goodbye,
Bye-bye,
to Bob,
bye.
and thank you for speaking to me.
Oh, pleasure.
Thanks, Gwen.
Okay, and
Bye.
get
Bye-bye.
back to listening to the show.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was Gwen. Thank you. So where are we up to, Bob? What we got next?
We've just had the Clovers and the little bit about you know, taking words from records, which was never very successful sometimes. One number that Davey did, and it was sort of a soul record, although as I explained before, we didn't really call it soul in those days, was a number called Hello Stranger by Barbara Lewis. And we actually recorded this number. It was never released, but we recorded it for Mickey Most, in fact, who was a big producer, record producer at the time. And we recorded several songs for him, as a matter of fact, in Denmark Street. this was one of them. And I think if they had ever been issued, they would have been issued on a label called Decca. But that was never to be. So anyway, this is the song that Davey liked a lot, and he sang very often on stage, and it's Barbara Lewis's Hello Stranger.
Chubop, chubop, my baby, chubop, chubop.
Hello, stranger. It seems so good to see you back again. How long has it been?
It seems like a mighty long time. Chubop, chubop, my baby, ooh.
It seems like a mighty long time. Say hello to me. Remember, that's the way it used to be. Ooh, it seems like a mighty long time. Chibop, chibop, my baby. Ooh, it seems like a mighty long time.
Chubop, chubop, my baby. Chubop, chubop, my baby. Chubop, chubop. My baby, chubop, chubop,
yes, I'm so glad you're here again. Oh, if you're not gonna stay, please don't tease me like you did before, because I still love you. So although it seems like a mighty long time, chibop, chibop, my baby, ooh, it seems like a mighty long time.
chubop, chubop, my baby.
Oh, my.
Chubop, chubop, my baby. Chubop, chubop, my baby.
I'm so happy.
Well, that was Barbara Lewis and Hello Stranger, and that was the number that Davy Jones, or early David Bowie, would have recorded. In fact, he did record that number for Mickey Most, for the Decca label, but it was never issued.
It was another Regent Sound.
It was Regent Sound, I think it was Regent Sound, yeah.
I think you did a whole slew of things.
We did Duke of Earl, I remember one night. Love is Strange was another one we did, and some more. I don't know. I can't remember them all, but that was certainly one we did. That sticks in my mind. It's very tricky getting those background voices in. You know, there's to get the synchronise the background voices on that particular song. Yeah, it's quite tricky. Yeah.
It just obviously didn't make the grade because Mickey Mouse didn't do anything with it.
No, he didn't. No, unfortunately.
We've got another caller. We've got Paul on line 1. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Kevin. How are you?
Oh, good.
Good. I'm really enjoying the show. Hello, Bob.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks, mate. I'm really enjoying the show. It's a fabulous day. I listened to the Phil Lancaster show earlier as well.
Oh, fantastic.
All good stuff.
Thank you.
I was really intrigued. I'm from Maidstone, and I had no idea about the Maidstone connection.
Oh yeah, we were very much a Maidstone sound. The sax sound we were originally, but we soon changed that into the R&B sound.
Right. Oh, that's really amazing. I mean, obviously I knew that David was from the Bromley area, but I had no idea about the other connections. That's really cool.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, Bob and Paul, Bob, because your house was in Maidstone, wasn't it?
Right in the centre of town. Yeah.
What was the road you were in?
Carey Street. It's no longer there.
It's been demolished. It was a real Coronation Street
It
type
was
place.
just like
Where was that, Bob?
It was called Carey Street. It's been demolished years ago now. It was, I think, when my mother bought it in 1948.
Right.
It was actually 150 years old then. You know?
Where would it be close to now?
It was right in the centre of town.
Close to the park?
No, right to the main streets, Week Street and King Street and those sort of things.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm in the High Street, so I would have been a neighbour almost.
You certainly would, yeah. I mean, I would walk down Union Street. Is it Union Street?
Yeah.
So I would just walk down a few paces, turn right into Union Street, and walk down about 4 minutes, and I was in is it King Street or Week Street? I can't remember the names of the streets.
Yeah, no, you would have walked down Week Street and then joined King Street at the bottom.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
What about, I mean, Bob, I remember you telling me ages ago, because David generally stayed with you, didn't he, at your place?
He did stay with me sometimes, but he mostly stayed with Paul.
Okay.
Paul Rodriguez.
So moved around a bit.
Well, Paul had more rooms. We were a bit sort of primitive, you know.
Did you say that Paul was out at Coxheath, Bob?
Was what, sorry?
Coxheath.
Coxheath, yeah. He was at Coxheath, yeah.
So he stayed in the country mansion then?
Yes.
Funnily enough, there was a feature that the BBC did on Bob, or I remember about 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and they went to that house, Paul's old house, to film outside, because that's where David had his audition in Coxheath.
It was, yeah.
And so they filmed outside, and I always kind of thought, I wonder if the owners know there's any kind of connection there with Bowie, you know.
Yeah, we ought to campaign for a blue plaque or something.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if they would appreciate it, the current owners. But, you know, there we go. The BBC were pointing cameras at this house all of a sudden, and might have been a big surprise, and all the neighbours knocking on the door.
Yeah.
But can I go back on? I'll just go back on a story, Paul, that Bob told me a while ago. Because when he did stay with you, you know, you had this big double bed, and you know, there was this. Tell us the story about that. Come on.
You know, the house I lived in, there was a toilet about a mile up the garden, and all this sort of thing, and you know, it was pretty primitive. But I had this pride and joy, this huge big double bed. I think we bought in the market or something. Once upon a time, I had a hospital bed. I remember to sleep in, but you know, I had this new pride and joy double bed, so I could actually put someone up, and of course David would come over occasionally, and we would share this big double bed. And one night, you know, we were lying there, and he said, tell me a story. So I said, what kind of story? He said, a ghost story. Tell me a ghost story. So I said, okay. I said, well, you see that cupboard with a curtain in front of, you know, over it, in front of the foot of the bed? There's a cupboard with a curtain over it. He said, I said, the other night I was lying here, and I saw this curtain move gradually and pull forward, and then I saw something come out of this cupboard and walk towards the door and disappear outside the door. Anyway, he was quite happy with the story, and in the morning I said, you know, did you sleep very well? He said, I didn't sleep a wink. He said, all I was doing was looking at that curtain.
He was terrified, wasn't he? You kept him awake all night.
He was awake all night, looking at this cupboard with the curtain in front of it. Yeah.
How about that? All happening in the middle of Maidstone.
Oh, it did. It was rock and roll.
And I tell you another thing, Paul, and this is a story that David has recounted, and I know Paul and the guys remember it, but it was he had an unfortunate experience in the Maidstone. Was you with him at the time when he ran into somebody?
Yes. Yeah.
Recall that one for us.
Well, there was this fellow. I mean, it was all happened so fast. But of course, David had long hair, and it wasn't long really by today's standards. No one would blink at it, but of course it was long by the standards of the day, and quite effeminate looking. And of course David was very wan and, you know, pale and so on, and you know, he didn't help by wearing a velvet jacket and things like that, you know. So anyway, he was walking down the street with several of us, and some fella came up and sort of barged through the thing and literally knocked him into the middle of the road. Where all the traffic was.
Yeah,
and,
he was quite shaken up, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Not pleasant.
No, but that's what happened. I can remember.
I think he said later on, it's the one and only time I've been beaten up. So
did he say that?
He said that, you know.
Yeah. But I can remember Paul Rodriguez and we went to being kicked out of a pub once because we were in the lounge.
Well, David had that problem often because he brought it up again on another TV thing. In fact, were you on that one with? You were, weren't you? The long hair men.
I was up there that night. Yeah.
I know George was on there. George Underwood, who we had on earlier today.
Yes.
And David was sort of extolling the rights that he was looking for men that had very long hair.
Yeah. I mean, it was okay.
And he was taking it really seriously. And he said years later, he said, I didn't realise it was all publicity because it was people like Les Kahn and the various producers.
Yeah.
They were all just sort of building this story up, and David was going along with it 100%. And later on he said, I didn't realise it was all publicity.
It was the Preservation Society for the preservation of animal filament or something
like that. It changed. It had very many titles.
Whoever was listening, it changed. Yeah.
Probably like you, Paul. I bet you had long hair at one time.
I did. I was just going to say, funny enough, I'm a little bit younger, but I had long hair in Maidstone in the late 60s and early 70s, and I used to get lots of grief as well.
Yeah, so you can imagine what it would be like for, particularly for David. I mean, it was pretty long at one point. I mean, there are some photos where, he would certainly... Well, he did say again, another interview, he used to stop traffic, because it was all... Sometimes he would dye it bright blonde as well.
He came to me one morning, because quite often, because I lived in the centre of Maidstone, David would get off the train from Bromley and comes directly to me in the morning and have toast and tea or whatever he had for breakfast. And I was in bed one morning still, and my mother came up to me and shook me, and she said, you've got to come downstairs, she said, and see what on earth David looks like. She said, you'll never believe what he looks like today. I said, what's that? She said, you come down and have a look. So anyway, I came downstairs, and there he was sitting strumming my guitar in the chair with his hair in pigtails with pink bows on them. And I said, my God, Dave, I said, did you come all the way from Bromley like that? He said, of course.
Yeah. he didn't care.
No.
I mean, he was very brave.
Yes.
Very brave.
Very great from Perry.
Amazing. Listen, Paul, brilliant. Thanks for your call.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Yeah, no problem. And really loving the show, and keep on keeping on.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks,
matey.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Right,
bye. Bye. Cheers. Right, so that was Paul. Thank you. And we're going to have to march on. Let me just clear the line there. There's another line clear. Listen, I've got some emails to go through in a bit, but let's play another track.
Okay, well, the last one was one of the numbers Davey used to do, was Hello Stranger, and of course we used to do the real classic Rufus Thomas number called Walking the Dog.
Baby back, dressed in black, silver buttons all down her back. Hello, tipsy toe. She broke a needle and she can't sew. Walking the dog, just a walking bird dog. If you don't know how to do it, I'll show you how to walk the dog. Come on now, come on, come on. That's my mama for 15 cents. See the elephant jump the fence. He jumped the high, he touched the sky. Never got back till the 4th of July. Walking the dog, just a walking bird dog. If you don't know how to do it, I'll show you how to walk the dog. Come on now, come on, come on. Mary, Mary, white contrary. Tell me, how does your garden grow? You got silver bells and you got cockle shells. Pretty maids all in a row. Walking bird dog, just a walking bird dog. If you don't know how to do it, show you how to walk the dog. Come on now, come on, come on. Just a walking. Just a walking. Just a walking. Oh yeah.
Well, that was Rufus Thomas and Walking the Dog, and that was another number that the Manish Boys performed fairly regularly on stage. And now we've got another.
Well, we're not before we jump into another number, we've got somebody on the line. But I just got a quick question before we bring them in. Chris it is, not Chaz, sorry. Chris from Leeds emailed in to ask, when was the last time you spoke to David Bowie?
About 6-7 years ago, perhaps. Yeah, ish.
Yeah. And it all went well.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, we had a nice conversation.
Bit of reminiscing.
Reminiscing, indeed. Yes.
Okay, well let's bring in. We got Mark Adams.
Hello.
Hello, mate. You got Bob.
Chaps, how are you? Great show.
Thank you.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
Hello. Good, thanks, Bob. Yourself?
Yeah, I haven't seen you for a long time.
I was just going to introduce Mark. Mark is David Bowie's webmaster on BowieNet, and looks after all that. Does all the amazing history that is very diligently put online.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Very carefully selected as well. Good, good graphics always, and top of the tree stuff, as you would expect, really.
And a lovely picture of Bob today, in fact.
Oh, you did? Oh.
Yeah, I showed it. Bob saw it on the way. We were rushing when he arrived because we were going through a lot, and I quickly flashed the picture up on the screen, and you quickly read it. It looked great, didn't it, Bob? You're pleased with that, Bob?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Thanks very
well,
much.
the previous call, or the question you just asked, has kind of preempted my question. I was going to say, Bob, I heard a rumour that there was a Manish Boys get-together 10 years or so ago, and you got an unexpected phone call from somebody.
We did, yeah. But before then I'd heard from David, before that time. Yeah, probably might have been 10 years ago. It's difficult to remember, really, because lots of things have happened since then. But David phoned me one Saturday, I remember. I hadn't spoken to him for, decades, literally, and we all went our separate ways, of course. And he phoned me and picked the phone up. I think his first words were, "Want to join a band?" I said, "Who's this?" He said, "It's David." I said, "I don't know. Hello, Dave. How are you?" I said, "Long time no hear." Anyway, we went on, sort of down the reminiscences path, and all that sort of thing. And it's very nice to hear from him.
Well, I think this particular time, you were all, the whole band you had got together for
Yeah, that's right. That was a bit later.
And I emailed him and told him and gave him your number and said, these chaps are getting together tonight. It might be a nice surprise.
That's right, yeah. That was, I think, a year or so later, probably, yeah.
Okay.
So if he phoned Bob, and there's about 46 of you in the Manish Boys, so passing the phone, poor Dave, his phone bill at the end of that, did you have thoughts for that?
No.
I think he reversed the charges.
Very canny. Excellent.
Yes. Right, well, I'll let you get on.
Thanks,
Mark. Nice to hear from you, Mark.
Some lovely anecdotes. I like the last one about the hair. That's quite special. Shame you never got a shot.
Wouldn't that have been amazing?
Well, we didn't, you didn't think of taking pictures in those days, which is a shame. We should have done, but there you go.
I was going to ask you about, did you ever pick up any hitchhikers on way to gigs, but I'll leave that for another time.
Well, we did, but I think that's been banned from air. I don't think we can talk about that one anymore. But
I think we made promises, haven't we?
All right. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Bye.
Right, so that was Mark Adams, who's a BowieNet administrator and webmaster, and very nice of Mark to call in. Thanks, Mark. Yeah. And also he did a very nice article about the whole day we've done today, which is very generous of him on the website. Yeah. So we're very grateful.
No, I've worked with Mark before, on different things.
Yeah, well, listen, Bob, you've worked with everybody. Goodness me. Who haven't you worked with? That's going to be the easier list.
Well, it's been an interesting time, put it that way,
Right, let's play another number, and then we'll go through some more questions I've got that have been emailed in.
Okay, we just played you one classic, Rufus Thomas's Walking the Dog, and now we've got another classic, and it's pretty universal, this. I think every band on earth did this number, but it's one you'll all know, and it's called Money.
I'll tell you what, even before we do that, I'm going to press the button and put that record on, but give out the phone number again, because the line limit is now, we've got a line clear if anybody is interested.
Yeah, we're getting calls now. So the telephone number to call, and this is directly to the studio, is I usually say 01, but I'm going to call it 01 303 01303 874 998. That's 01303 874 998.
Yeah, and if you're a bit shy, you can email in. We've got some to go through in a bit, but it's studio@channelradio.co.uk. So, right, let's get on. Introduce the song again, Bob.
Okay, well, so it's the old classic, and it's Barrett Strong's Money.
The best things in life are free, but you can give them to the birds and bees. I need fun. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. Your love give me such a thrill, but your love don't pay my bills. I need fun. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I Money don't get everything, it's true, but what it don't get I can't use. I need money. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. Money, lots of money, whole lot of money.
Well, that was the classic Barrett Strong's Money, which virtually every band on earth did at one time, and probably some of them still are. I don't know. I don't get to the clubs like I used to, but it's still a great number and still a rousing dancer. Now, I think...
Well, I'm going to cut in, Bob, because we've got a dynamic show, and we're on an interesting place. Where we are, we broadcast from... it's a working farm, actually. It's a very sort of attractive working farm. We're in Dymchurch. We're on the Romney Marsh. But we've also got... There's loads of things on this farm, you know, a lot of places to eat and shop and whatever. And I've forgotten. Pauline? A lady called Pauline was just passing by and wanted to know what we were broadcasting. And we said, we were talking about David Bowie today. And she said, well, I know a bit about David Bowie.
Yeah.
And you do, don't you?
Yeah, just a little bit, but I know.
I'll bring your mic up. There you are. You're now with us, Pauline.
Okay.
Well, we're very welcome to Channel Radio. Thank you for...
It's a lovely place.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not too bad here. A bit warm in here today because we've been broadcasting like mad this afternoon.
Yeah.
We've been all kinds of things going on in here. But what's your story, Pauline?
Well, I used to work in hairdressers in Beckenham, and the stylist that was there used to do David Bowie's David's wife Angie's hair.
Oh yeah.
When she was pregnant with Zoe.
Now I've forgotten the name. Is it something Oh, I've forgotten the
That
name.
was Evelyn Paget's.
Evelyn Paget's. It's on the back of my
Yeah.
mind. I knew that.
Yeah, it's in Beckenham High Road.
Yeah. And David's mother used to have her hair done there.
Yeah, she used to have her hair down every week there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you knew David's mother?
I knew her mum, knew his mum, a lovely lady.
Wow.
Really lovely lady.
How about that?
Yeah, and Angie was nice as well.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we used to do her hair every week,
Yeah.
and being American, she liked it the right way to do it, and she used to show us how she does it.
Yeah.
And so we used to do that, and Elise, who was the stylist at the time, she actually went off with David and the group she was his stylist, and she was the one that done the spiky hair.
Really?
When he first from the long hair to the spiky, and
changing
she did that.
Changing a bit of history.
That's it.
Wow. And her name was
Elise.
Elise.
I never knew her surname. She was always the stylist Elise.
Yeah.
And she went off with him and done their hair. I don't know how long for, because she vanished with him when they did touring and.
Wow. What a
things
story.
like that. Yeah.
So, and how long were you at Evelyn Paget's?
Oh, I think I was there for about 2 years.
So this would be about 1971?
Yeah, 1970 to 69 to 71, I think it was.
That was a pretty good guess, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really a good guess.
it had to be in that time frame to do the things that you were talking about.
Yeah.
So, how about that, Bob?
That's a fantastic story, isn't it? And just like that,
Just like that. That's the joy of radio, joy of channel radio. This happens all the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
This is Bob Solly, by the way, and Bob was in David's band, the Manish Boys.
Oh, yeah.
And the Manish Boys were on David's second single ever.
Oh, right.
And what we've been doing today is we're celebrating David's 50 years in music, because on Thursday, King Bees, which was David's first band, released the first single of David's, and Davy Jones and the King Bees, as he was back then.
Yeah.
And so we thought 50 years on, let's give it a nod. It's quite a special moment.
Yeah,
and I've got two great presenters on this station, Bob Solly and Phil Lancaster, who another chap who isn't here this afternoon, but Phil also was in another David Bowie band, and it just so happens we've covered this afternoon the first three bands that David was in. So we've done interviews with members of each band. So we've had quite a day of it, haven't we, Bob?
We certainly have, yeah.
And Bob's kind of working down a list here of numbers. So listen, Paul, that's fantastic. What a great story, and so nice of you to pop in and let us know that.
Yeah,
And
it's lovely.
And so relaxed on air.
Well,
Just come in natural. We'll give you a show.
Professional, yeah.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Listen, Bob. Let's go to the next number.
Okay, well, the last one we played you was the Barrett Strong Money, and we tried to find good R&B numbers, which most other bands were playing as well, but we also tried to be a bit quirky and do things that might be too complicated for other bands to be bothered with, and one of those was the Coasters Shopping for Clothes.
I was shopping for a suit the other day and walked into the department store. Stepped on the elevator and told the girl, dry goods flow. When I got off, a salesman come up to me. He said, now what can I do for you? I said, well, go in there and show me all the sport clothes like you supposed to. He said, well, sure, come on in, buddy, and dig these fabrics we got laid out on the shelf. He said,
pick yourself out one, try it on, stand in the mirror and dig yourself. Ooh, that suit's pure herringbone.
yeah, that's a suit I'd like to own.
Buddy, that suit is you.
Yeah, I believe it too. I see for the businessman, you featuring the natural shoulder that retail, wholesale is deal. It's got the custom cuffs and the walking chart, he said.
I'm gonna let you have it a steal.
And for the playboy, you have the latest in tweed with the cutaway flap over twice. It's a box back 2-button western model, he said.
Nah, ain't that nice? Ooh, them buttons are solid gold.
You made a deal, so
that collar's pure camel hair.
Well, you can just sit there right there on that chair. Now you go back there and you get that paper and let me sign on the dotted line. And I'll make sure I get all my payments in right on time.
Now, wait a minute, brother. Let me go back here and do a little checking on you.
Then the man, he come back, he say, I'm sorry, my man, but your
credit didn't go through.
Why, what you mean? Ain't this a shame? My heart's in pain. Pure herringbone.
But that's a suit you'll never own.
Lord have mercy. I got a good job sweeping up every day.
Yeah, we had a little hiatus period there where we had to swap some mics around in here, so I haven't...
yeah, it was a little bit chaotic for a minute, isn't it?
A little bit chaotic. We got people coming in, actually, and
people
into the studio.
Were interested to see what's going on.
Yeah, exactly, and so sorry about that little gap in the proceedings.
No, it was only a few seconds.
Was it a few seconds?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I was going to come in, actually, Bob, and say, I'm thinking about this. I've got a feeling... what Pauline was saying, absolutely, she's absolutely 100% on the fact that this lady Elise did the very famous Ziggy haircut.
Did she? Yeah.
But I got a feeling that is Susie, because she said, she then went and left and joined, and I can't imagine anybody else in that time period. We would know about it. Yeah. So I think probably Susie called herself Elise at Legal and Paget's. Yeah. So we probably let a bit of a secret out for Susie. There we go. Yeah. That happens, doesn't it? And one of her ex-colleagues has wandered in and said hello.
How about that?
Just
off the street.
Yeah, who also used to do David's hair, David's mother's hair.
And were they even listening to the show?
No, they wandered in.
Literally wandered in to see what was happening. It's very hot in the studio.
We've had a busy studio, so there's been a lot of people.
We've left one of the doors open in the front, and
we've had people coming in and out all day because we've been, as I say, we've had some interesting shows going on, so they were keen to see what was going on. Right, let's move on.
So let's see where we are now.
We're actually running close on time now, so let's...
So that was the shopping for clothes thing, and, what a lot of people don't realise or don't think about probably when talking about the group the Manish Boys was that it was going for quite a while before David joined the band. In fact, we were called the Manish Boys for quite a while after it was called Band 7. The transition went into one and the other, and David came along a bit later on. So during that period, early Manish Boys period, we recorded a couple of times for another legendary record producer called Joe Meek, and Joe Meek recorded quite a number of our efforts, and one of them was Solomon Burke's Stupidity.
Hey, hey, everybody, all around the world, every boy and girl, taking lessons from me, on the stupidity. Whoa, my mama, she says it's silly. My papa says you look like a fool. But baby, I don't mind criticism, because we're doing it every day in school. Come along with me, see how much fun it can be by watching me. Oh, baby, do the stupidity.
was Solomon Burke's Stupidity, and that was just one of those that got away. That was a number we recorded, but just never got released. And it was a job to get stuff released in those days. People promise you this and promise you that, but when push came to shove, you didn't get your records out.
I don't think it would change much even now. I think it's always been a difficult business to be in. And if we just very quickly double track on what we've been doing today, the fact that we've been celebrating the fact that David's first single came out 50 years ago, it didn't immediately spark the top career. He had to work extremely hard to then make a name. And of course, from David Jones and the Manish Boys and the King Bees and things, he became Bowie with the Lower Third. And even then, Space Oddity, but it was Ziggy that really broke him in 1972. So a long gap from working with you guys and that.
Well, it is. The problem with that record we made, Picture the Fool, of course, it was very R&B-ish and, very much so. And I've got an Australian writer friend, actually. He's quite a well-known author, but he said to me once, he said, that record sums up for me all those smoky clubs of the early 60s and the jazz clubs and that R&B sound. He said it's the epitome of that R&B sound, and I hadn't actually thought of it like that before.
It has a very sort of cool ring about it, and a very derivative sound from that period. I like it.
Yeah, I think unlike anything else Davey ever sang on. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, look, we're getting to the last few minutes. I know you had something lined up. I think what we'll do is we'll play out in a minute with one of the big hits. I think, because it's David's Afternoon on Channel Radio, yes. And I just really want to reiterate what we've done. We've had George Underwood very kindly gave us an exclusive interview to start the day, and very interesting, I thought, chat about writing and working on that first single with David Jones and the King Bees and the work they did. And then Phil Lancaster, who's one of our regular broadcasters like Bob, kindly changed the format of his show to encompass really his memories and some of his memories. I mean, you guys have got loads and loads of memories, and we've just scratched the surface today.
So there's a lot more.
There's an awful lot.
Some you can't tell.
No,
it's a no-no.
Yes, absolutely. And look, we've kind of run out of time, so we're gonna play out with Jean Genie, and why not? We started off with Golden Years, which I know is one of your favourites, and let's go out with probably one of the songs that was really helping to break his name.
All good stuff.
It's all good stuff. So I'll let you sign off, Bob. And
okay, well, this is Bob Solly, of course, at Channel Radio, and I'm just going to list for you all the members of the band, Manish Boys, from Davy Jones onward. It's obviously David Bowie in his early permutation, and then we had Paul Rodriguez, who sadly died last year, and hopefully Lucy, his daughter, is listening in today. We didn't play everything related to Paul on the show because we just ran out of time, but I was Paul's songwriting partner for many years after the band disbanded. Then there's Wolf Byrne, of course, who lives in Kent still. John Watson was our bass player. Mick White, or Whitehead, as he's to give him his proper name, was the drummer. And Johnny Flux, or as you'll probably know him now as John Edward, he was our guitarist after I switched over to electronic organ. Now, Johnny actually had a huge hit with Save Your Love for me, I think it was, and. So anyway, that's the lineup, and it's Bob Solly saying bye-bye for now, and thank you for listening, and see you next time.